What's going on, you guys? It's Cody Steck. We're back today with another in-depth stock analysis on a new company of mine that I have a very good outlook on for the next couple of years. I think the stock could easily 2 to 3 times in value over the next couple of years with some of the coming changes and plans that are going to happen for this particular company and this particular industry. So what I want to talk about today is the company Callaway Golf, ticker symbol ELY, Eli. Now, the first thing I've got to talk about when it comes to this company is why does this particular company, Callaway, why are they going to be one of the top golf companies out there? Callaway is a golf company, if you didn't know, and they make golf equipment, they make golf apparel, and they make all things golf related. So that is their main business. That is how they're bringing in money, and they're definitely one of the top 3 names, I would say, in the golf industry. Right now, they're sitting at about a $2 billion market cap, but they've kind of stayed stagnant over the last couple of years. Nothing's really happened. They've had some ups, they've had some downs, and golf overall has been kind of a declining game. The number of golf courses is declining, and the number of players who are getting out and playing has also seen some decline as well. However, this year is a lot different. Because of the pandemic, they've actually seen the number of golf rounds increase over the past couple of months. We've been seeing golf rounds increase pretty drastically compared to the year of 2019. I think this is in part due because it's a safe outside environment where people can go despite the pandemic and they can have a good time. And it's also a place where, golf is actually seeing kind of a resurgence, at least in my opinion, because I think there's a lot of people who are getting into the industry, getting into the sport, and actually wanting to go out and play it because they see it as one, it's a great way to get out into nature, and not being able to go and do other things indoors. I think that's actually causing, pushing people to get outdoors and actually do some of these things. I know that for myself, I actually got super interested in golf just a couple of months ago, and now I feel addicted. I don't know what it was. Before I started playing, I'm like, golf's just kind of like whatever. I don't really understand the appeal to it. But now that I've started playing, I'm actually really into it. And even though we're going into the winter, I can't wait to get back out there. I've played a couple rounds, even when it's cold and frosty outside, just because it's so fun. I think it's just great to be out there. Nobody's bugging you. From my background, where a lot of people are always relying on me throughout the day, to call them, text them, send them documents, whatever, in my real estate job. It's nice for me to be able to get out there and actually just have some time alone and not have anybody bugging me, and be basically out there in nature. I've got great views, got great, just a great time. So with that being said, let me talk about why I actually think this company is going to explode. And that is because of the upcoming merger with the company Topgolf. Now, if you don't know, Topgolf is basically like bowling meets golf, right? It's basically a driving range, but they've combined it with a lot of the elements that you'd see in a bowling alley. So this includes like food, this includes bars, restaurants, shops, basically all of this stuff inside of the Topgolf arena. Now, these bays usually are heated in the winter, so you can play them year round, even if you're in a colder climate like I am. And the interesting thing about Topgolf is that they were actually supposed to be going public in an IPO earlier this year before the pandemic actually hit. Now, obviously things have changed drastically in just the past couple of months, so there's been a lot of changes, but they were saying in January when this report came out that the expected value of Topgolf could be over $4 billion. So if we got a market cap of $4 billion, now if Callaway's actually going to be doing that merger with Topgolf, you can see that the value of this company is going to increase drastically. Now, this is kind of like the perfect combination. Callaway was actually already an early investor in Callaway. They already had, I think it was a 14% stake in the company itself, and now they're going to agree to buy out the rest of the company. I think this is an extremely smart move. Unfortunately, the market did not agree. They actually saw a huge drop in their share price when this news was released, and I wish I would have bought in earlier, but unfortunately I didn't. I got in a little bit later when the price was around $18. So now the share price is sitting at about $21, but I do think that this is going to be one of the best moves that Callaway could have made. It's going to cement them in the industry further, and it's going to give them access to people who don't identify as golfers but may be interested in the industry. You could kind of look at this and say Callaway might be in a position where it's a little bit of a risky situation because the industry has been seeing a steady decline over the last couple of years. But by breaking into something that's a little bit more mainstream and a little bit more of a growth opportunity, you can see that they're going to be able to cement themselves as a company for years and years to come. Obviously, with the pandemic, Topgolf has seen decreased activity at their venues, and of course, they had to shut down for those first couple of months. However, since then, they've reopened all of their locations across their network, and they're reporting that they're seeing traffic counts of roughly 80 to 85% of 2019's numbers. So we're not back up to full speed, which is understandable given everything going on. There's a lot of businesses that are not experiencing the same amount of revenue or traffic growth that they were seeing in years past. But I think Topgolf will continue to expand as the economy goes back to normal. I think they're going to continue to see these numbers increase. I don't know about you guys, but every time I go to Topgolf here in my local market, it is absolutely packed. I mean, before the pandemic, if you tried to get in on a Friday or Saturday night, they would tell you, hey, it's going to be 2 to 3 hours of a wait, and this isn't a cheap place to be. I mean, renting the Bay, I think is like $50 an hour. Maybe it's even more. It might be like 60 or $70 an hour. The food's pretty expensive, drinks are expensive, but it's really designed to be a place for people to go and have a good time. And they encourage you to stay for as long as you want. So you might go in and you rent the Bay and you could stay for an hour, and then it'll ask you, hey, do you want to extend for another hour for, 10% off or something? And you can actually stay as long as you want, as long as you keep paying, basically. So that's kind of one of the cool things about Topgolf, is they really encourage you to stay. Their place is not exactly the cheapest place. It's definitely more expensive than like a bowling alley, but it also has a higher end feel. It's got a luxury feel. It's got more of a high end feel when you go there, and they've got a huge focus on kind of the corporate and group activity lifestyle. So there's a lot of corporate companies in my area who have like season passes to Topgolf, and they'll take clients there, they'll take guests there, basically just to try and continue to do business. That's very much what golf is centered around anyway. It's very much a business activity. So all of that being said, I think if Callaway and Topgolf end up completing this merger, which is supposed to happen next year, I think this means that Topgolf has a very exciting future. They do have a high cost of goods. Running these locations is very expensive, and they're not yet profitable, but they're expected to become profitable in the next couple of years. Also, there's going to be some debt that comes along with this merger that Callaway will have to inherit, but thankfully Callaway has very strong financials and they have plenty of cash on hand. I think it's over $600 million worth of cash on hand, so paying these debts should not be an issue, and it will actually probably help Topgolf grow even quicker than they might have otherwise. So I think Topgolf really has a lot of things coming for it, I think, as they continue to see those numbers come back. I should also mention that Topgolf has 2 new locations opening up in early 2021, and they're supposed to have a new international location opening up as well in Germany, which is going to open them up to a bigger market as well. So like I said, Topgolf is always busy. It's always a bump in place, and there's oftentimes a wait. This is a really popular place where a lot of people who are not interested in golf even go. So I think that this means that Topgolf has a long way to go as far as what is possible in the coming years. Jumping back to the valuation of the company, let's say that Topgolf was originally supposed to be valued at $4 billion. Now the pandemic's hit and things have changed. So let's say that that value is really only $3 billion, right? Maybe they overvalued a little bit and now the numbers are down because of what's happening with the pandemic. Well, let's say it's only worth $3 billion. Okay, well, Callaway's already worth 2. If Topgolf's supposedly worth 3, you can see how there's a huge potential for Callaway to continue to grow and for their stock price to boom drastically. This is the exact reason why I bought into the company, buying shares and also buying call options that are a little ways out. So like we talked about a little bit ago, a lot of people are asking the question, hey, is golf actually dying? How is golf doing as a sport? So let's talk about the increase in golfers. There's a lot of people who say, hey, I've never been interested in golf, but because of everything going on, they've been getting out and actually wanting to experience the game. So the number of rounds in 2020 in August was actually 20% higher than it was in 2019. This is absolutely amazing. Now, obviously not all of those people are going to stick around. Perhaps some of those people were already golfers that just happened to play more because they didn't have access to other activities they normally do. But let's assume that, maybe 5% of those rounds were from new golfers who are going to stick around and actually continue to come and play the game. There's a good chance that those people will go to Topgolf either during the winter when they can't play the normal game on an actual golf course, or they might just enjoy the Topgolf experience a little bit more. It's a little bit more casual. It's a little bit more laid back. You got food, you got drinks. I mean, it's a more inviting and social, atmosphere and experience rather than playing golf on the actual golf course. So a lot of those people will actually probably go to Topgolf and continue to go to that place. I think honestly, kind of the bowling alley is like dying off, and I think that Topgolf could be the next thing because you don't have to be a good golfer to actually go to Topgolf. It's a great place to just go and hang out, hit a couple balls, and just have a good time basically. And again, on top of that, if Callaway owns all of Topgolf, Callaway also owns other brands such as OGIO and Jack Wolfskin. If they own these brands, they're able to put them in the stores that are in the Topgolf locations and promote their products, further increasing their actual revenue. If some of the Topgolf customers are going to buy equipment or they're actually going to go out and get on the golf course, you can bet that they're going to lean towards buying Callaway equipment and apparel just because they know that brand and they know what it's all about. Now, one other thing that I haven't talked about yet that is a huge play for Topgolf is that they actually own the Toptracer technology, which is a technology that allows you to see the flight path of different golf balls after they've been hit. So this is what Topgolf actually uses in their bays to be able to track where the golf ball goes and then, figure out the points and stuff. But they also use these on different driving ranges at golf courses. So right now, this technology is being used at over 7,500 different ranges. And I did a quick search and there's over 38,000 golf courses in the world. So most of these are going to have driving ranges. Of course, you've got all the Topgolf locations on top of that. And I'm sure there's driving ranges that aren't associated with an actual golf course. So let's say that the total market is like, I don't know, 38,000, right? Because some won't have driving ranges, others will, whatever. So we're going to say 38,000. This means that they've only penetrated maybe 20 to 25% of the total market of what's out there. So Toptracer is a great way, because it's a technology, it's actually a great way to have low costs on that technology, but license it out to these driving ranges at high costs, which helps people keep coming back because they see the impact that this has on getting better at the game and figuring out what they need to do, what they need to change about their shot. And it's basically, you know, kind of bridges the two gaps. It keeps people coming back and it also brings new people in because they can actually see a little bit more about what's happening when they hit the golf ball. This is going to help bring in consistent revenue for Topgolf and for Callaway for years to come. I only see this technology getting better, and I could see it relaying into other sports as well. You know, maybe it goes into football where they say, hey, how fast is this ball spinning? How fast does the quarterback throw it? How fast, you know, how many RPMs does this ball have? I could see it translating into other sports as well sometime down the line. So with all that being said, guys, you can see why I think this company is actually going to grow, and I wouldn't be surprised if this stock hits a share price of somewhere between $30 and $40 over the next year. I think it could be easily $40 plus in the next couple of years if this Callaway and Topgolf merger goes well and it goes as planned. I think if the economy comes back and those numbers continue to look good and Topgolf continues to grow and produce higher and higher revenue numbers, I could easily see this becoming a company that you'll want to own that might look like a really good deal in, let's say, 5 or 10 years. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. If I missed anything, make sure to drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this company as well. Are you buying into it? Are you staying away? What are you going to do? This is just based on some of my analysis on the company. I'm going to continue digging into this to make sure I'm not missing anything, to make sure I continue to learn about the company and figure out what potential growth opportunities there are with this company. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up here on the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.